Gear is one of the few confusing things in Seven Deadly Sins, but it's one of those things I see people doing wrong the most, including myself. So I'm making a gear progression guide through all stages of the game that can help everyone, so that way you don't make the same mistakes that I have. So I'm going to start at the beginning and what you should be focusing on with your gear. I'm going to pull up my Escanor here, who is pretty maxed out, pretty beefy, but he still wasn't really hitting all that hard. And I'm actually stuck in the game because his equipment was garbage. So, early stage, the only thing you should care about is making sure that you have sets of gear. What I mean by this is you see the icon at the top right corner. There's 4 swords, which is attack, and 2 shields, which is defense. That right there is going to give me 20% bonuses. There's other ones as well, like HP and concentration, which I think is crit chance, as well as congeniality, which is crit damage. But for right now, the only thing you should be worried about are 3 things: attack, defense, and HP. That will cover all of your heroes for the majority of the game, and there are actually only a few heroes, which I'll be doing a second video of, that don't follow that pattern. Alright, so once you have your gear sets, the next thing you want to focus on is rarity. Don't worry about enchanting or enhancing or even awakening for the most part in the beginning. The only thing you should really focus on is, can I have SSR gear in here? Yes? No? Maybe? Alright. Fill all 6 spots with as highest rarity as you possibly can, and then we'll beat those early game stages. By mid game though, this is where you're really going to be focusing on what my setup looks like right here. So it looks a little strange, right? On the left hand side I have SSR and even a UR gear, and on the right hand side I have common gear. Now that seems a little dumb. Obviously I could put SSR gear in instead, but I'm going to explain why here. So my left side gear has high stats, right? The HP is almost 12k, or just over 11k, but the HP over here is 1300. It's a massive disparity. But if I look at this SSR one, my health should increase, right, by 1491. So right now my health is 106,274. I'm going to equip this. Theoretically, my health should go up. Okay, it didn't. My health went down. And the reason for this is that these bonus ratios on the right hand side, if you look at the common rune, it has a bonus HP ratio of 13.6%. So even though it doesn't have much base stat, it has a significantly higher percentage. Now, before you start worrying about the enchanting, I keep saying enchanting, I mean the enhancing, and which gear you want to focus on in getting those bonus ratios, you want to look at one thing first. So take the gear, go over to change stats, and look at the basic stats for your gear. You want to use gear where this green bar is as full as possible. Out of a maximum 5,200 HP, this belt offers 5,189. Where if I look at another belt, like this one for example, this only offers 4,058 basic stats. So even if I were to level this belt all the way up, it's not in the same class of HP as the other belt. Even though they're both SSR, there's a huge disparity because of these basic stats. That is what you need to be focusing on in the mid game, making sure all of your equipment is high basic stats, and then we can start worrying about enchanting it, because you're not going to want to dump all of these resources into gear that you're not going to keep. So let's take a look here at these bonus ratios and how we get them. So on the common gear, I've got 14% attack, 13.2% defense, and 13.6% HP increase. That is out of a total of 15. Now I'm going to show you how we get that. So let's go over to, I have unequipped or unmaxed out gear on my Lilia. So this is 778 out of 800. Not the best, but pretty close. So now we're going to enhance it, right? Consecutive enhance, turn off the failure gauge, and it doesn't cost me a lot of gold, it costs me virtually nothing, and it barely costs me enhance stones. This is what I mean by resources. You don't want to chew up all of your gold and all of your resources, like your enchant stones, or enhanced stones. I keep saying enchant. Your enhanced stones right off the bat. And when I awaken it, it's going to cost me 5,000 gold and one 1-star awakening stone. Alright, now here, I don't want lifesteal, but the options I can get are 1% to 3% HP, 2% to 6% regen, 2% to 6% recovery, 1.5 to 4.5% lifesteal. Now I don't want that, so I can re-roll this bonus by looking at the bottom. I can use 5,000 gold or I can use 1 anvil. So I'm going to spend 5,000 gold and re-roll and hope that I get that defense or the HP. I didn't, so I'm going to do it again. Now I could do this ad nauseum, and it may take a while for me to get a defense one that even pulls up, let alone a good defense, or HP. See, I pulled HP, but it's 1.1%. That's too low, so I'm going to re-roll it again. But that's only costing me 5,000 HP, or 1 anvil, which isn't a lot. But let's take a look if I were to do SSR gear, and show you what the cost of that is, which is significantly higher. So if I go down to my belt, for example, go to change stats. I want to change this regen so that it's at HP, right? Because I want as close to 15 HP as possible. But if we look down here, it's not gold that it costs me. It's going to cost me 2 diamonds or 5 anvils. And as you can see right now, I'm a little low on anvils because I've been redoing all of my gear. And there's no way, as a free-to-play player, that I'm spending diamonds to fix equipment. Because if I re-roll that, and I don't get something good, I just lost 2 diamonds. No way, no how is it worth it. If you use diamonds to enhance your equipment, you either have more money than you know what to do with, or you need to restart the game and cry a little bit to yourself. So now, because that's so much more expensive, my ratios aren't perfect on this side, especially on my necklace. They're kind of a mess. I only have 5% defense, and I have a smattering of resistance, crit defense, and crit resistance. I'm going to need to fix that. On my belt, they're a little bit, or I'm sorry, on my bracelet, it's a little bit better, but I still want to increase some of these lower ones, the 2.4s, the 2.6s, to try and get a little bit closer to that 15%. But when I go over here, I have that 14, I have that 13, and I have that 13.6. So the way that you're going to want to break it down in mid-game, you want to have all gear with high base 6 stats. Then you want your left side to be SSR and your right side to be common gear. Then you want to fully enhance and awaken your common gear to get those bonus ratios. Then you want to fully enhance and awaken your SSR gear to get those high base stats, because without stats, if you're getting an additional 15% of one, it's not that high. So you're going to want those additional stats to stack up and give you all of that high exponential growth. And then top that off with an extra 20% there, 20% there. Now you're looking at 35% increase. And then I bet you guessed right what the next step is. After that, you fix the ratios on the left side, which is what I'm in the middle of. Once those ratios are fixed, now you're going to have 15, 15, 30%, and then the additional 20%. So I'm going to have 30% bonus attack. I'm going to have an additional 50% bonus increase on my attack. That's going to be huge. Additionally, same thing with defense. 15, 15, 20, an extra 50% increase on my defense. That's going to make my character much more powerful and harder to kill, and make it easier for me to finally beat that stupid Estarossa level that I have been stuck on for multiple weeks now. And then last but not least, when you get to late game, this is when you're going to start swapping out this common gear with SSR gear. So I know I was laughing at this rune earlier, but let's look at this rune. This has really good attack on it. Out of a scale of 2,800, it has 2,791. That's pretty good gear overall. Now it's going to cost me a lot to enhance it, and then it's going to cost me a lot to awaken it. But once I do that, the base stats will go up, and it'll be not only significantly higher than this rune, but it will allow me to swap it out and put it in place, and my HP will still go up because I'll have the 15% ratio on the other side. So once you have your right side gear and you've got high basic stats on that, you're going to want to enhance, then you're going to want to awaken, and focus those bonus ratios. That is when your team is going to take the biggest power spike in the entire game. When you get that 30% ratio and the base stat is enormous. So once you're at this point, you want to spend a lot of your time farming gear. And I'm going to show you a few different ways to farm that SSR gear. So your first option is to go over to this battle thing, click equipment, and from here you can choose which stat, whether you want attack, defense, health. I hit the wrong button, sorry about that. Let's try that again. Attack, defense, health, crit chance, crit resistance, or recovery. Those are your options there. And then you're able to select, so say I wanted a, let's just say a health necklace, right? So I would click health and necklace, and then this takes me to the free play mission. Now if I go over and I go to the hard level, there's only about a 3% chance that it drops it, which isn't very high. And even if it does drop, there's no guarantee that it's going to have high basic stats. So you do have another option. If you go to the village, there's a running mission constantly that allows you to select gear. Now the easy way to remember which village has which, Vanya, the first one has attack. Dalmali is D for defense. And then Post Town Tala has HP, which is really not a mnemonic for that one, but as long as you remember that Dalmali is D for defense, the first 3 chapters are the only thing that matters. So you're going to want to get your village friendship in these villages as high as you possibly can right off the bat, because there's going to be a mission here. Let me go into Post Town Tala, and I'll show you. As soon as it loads, there we are. Alright, now if I click on these dots in the bottom left-hand side, I'm able to see... Oh, it won't take me to the mission. Bummer. Okay, but you can also go to the equipment shop and buy it, but do not buy equipment. It is crazy expensive, and again, no guarantee of base stats. So that guy's the cooking guy. Let me go over to this guy. Alright, and he's going to offer me a mission. We're going to skip his dialogue because nobody cares. And you can accept this mission. This mission requires you to clear this level 8 times, and once you clear it, you're rewarded with an SSR belt. Again, there's no guarantee that that belt is going to be a high basic stat, because it could be you could get it and it could be a 3,900 HP, or you could get it and it could be a 5,200 HP. You don't know until you run it, but that's a much higher percentage chance if you want to focus it. What I usually do is I do these missions when I'm awake, and then when I'm asleep, I run those free play. And then that way, when I wake up in the morning, it'll stop running once my equipment is full, and then I can check to see if I've gotten anything good. And if I haven't, it's really no harm, no foul, because I can just go over to Diane, and I can break down the equipment that's no good. So I'm going to break this down, because I never use SRR or uncommon gear, and this is going to give me 24 enhancement stones, and if I'm lucky, if RNGesus likes me, then nope, I could get awakening stones as well. So the reason why I focus only on SSR gear and common gear is, one, because of the inexpense of it, and two, because of an important factor. With limited storage space, the only thing I really have to focus on is high level enchant stones. I'm out. I've got 1 and I've got 4 of these, so I'm gonna bring that up so that I can awaken, and I can take these and break them down to give me more of the 1-star. So I only really need 1-star awakening stones and 5-star awakening stones. This way my inventory is not all clogged up, and that way I can have way more enhancement stones, and then eventually anvils and hammers of Visel once I farm those again. Additionally, that keeps my equipment page pretty thin. If it's not an SR or it's not a common, then it's immediately getting broken down by DN. The reason why I go common instead of uncommon is that even though uncommon offers a little bit of a stat advantage, the cost increases exponentially. You can still use gold, but the amount of gold you use versus to get those ratios and the minor increase in stats you get just really isn't worth it. So this allows you to focus only on SSR gear and allows you to focus only on common gear, breaking it down, making it simple, conserving inventory space. And the last thing I want to touch on, the only gear that you want to have is attack gear, HP gear, and defense gear, with bonuses of attack, defense, and HP respectively. Keep it simple. I will cover which heroes are the exception. There's very few of them, but if you build this gear, you follow this guide, you focus on getting high ratios on your right and high stats on your left, then you will be clearing this game in no time. And then when that is finally taken care of, you can get back to the business of selling your soul for more diamonds so that you can hopefully get some good hero draws. Alright, I hope this video was able to help you out. It's taken me a long time to figure this out, so I'm glad I was able to put this together. I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment below if you still have any questions. Make sure you thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.